Hey, welcome everybody to Ray's Encounters. It is Sunday, December 23rd. Can you believe it? The year has passed, and I am with my handsome son, Ryan Roberts.
Yeah,
What's going on, man?
thank you for having me. This is a pleasure. I
Absolutely.
want to say this as well. It's always a good thing when I can come back and see family. I know right now I'm living in South Florida, but to come back, spend time with you. And one of the things that's
Yeah.
amazing is that over 20 plus years you've been doing this, and to have that commitment and courage is a blessing. So any way I can help out, happy to do that.
You gotta love him, right? He's handsome, he's intelligent, anointed, and he got a word in his mouth. So we're excited to have you for real. Anytime you fly in or I
Yeah.
get a chance to fly up there to see you,
Yep.
we have a great time. He's a perfect gentleman. He's a great son, takes me out to dinner,
Of course. Of
and we have
course.
great conversations. And so we have such great conversations. I wanted to bring him on live to give you guys an opportunity to hear what he has to say. Has such great wisdom for being a young man. And I don't say that just because he's my son. I really think he's got a word for the hour, for a lot of people to hear. So do me a favor, like, share, and if you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe. Every time we come on live, it'll notify you, and you don't want to miss what he's going to say because he's got something even more powerful and greater than what I'm going to say. But we're just going to do what we always do. And as we talk and converse, we pray that it's a blessing to you in this Christmas atmosphere. We're 2 days away from Christmas, guys. It's amazing. And so I'm so honored to have my son on. When we talk and we converse, he drops great nuggets of wisdom. And I'm always like, wait a minute, what? So I was like, somebody else has got to hear this. So hopefully you guys are tuning in real quick. Make sure you text somebody and say, you know what, Ryan Roberts is on. And he's amazing, and has some great things to say. So listen, as we're closing out of the end of the year, I wanted to talk a little bit about purpose because we're going into 2024. A lot of people, Ryan, are making New Year's resolutions and trying to say, hey, this is what I want to do going into the new year. We've been talking a little bit about purpose. And as some of you know, Habakkuk 2:2 says, then the Lord replied, I'm reading from the New International Version, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. And it's like when you don't have purpose, you don't really know where you're going. And it's like as we're about to enter into a new year, I kind of want to encourage you guys on, do you know where you're going? Do you have some bit of direction? Do you have an understanding of who you are? So I want Ryan to talk a little bit about what you think the
Yeah.
importance of purpose is.
This is honestly one of my favorite topics. We
Hmm.
talk weekly
Hmm.
on little things, so to be able to have this platform and see if we can bounce off of one another is great.
Hmm.
The first thing that comes to mind on purpose is what type of life do you want to live?
There you go.
And what it comes down to is, as I said before, is the true test of what someone's purpose is what happens during the darkest of times.
It's true.
We can look at the best way for people to understand anything is by storytelling. Look at the Bible itself. Everything is about stories.
Yeah.
People can relate to a story.
Hmm.
So the best example I could use for that is the example of illness. When you're
Mm.
going through an illness, critical illness, this and that, a family illness, whatnot, what happens is now you see the true reflection of yourself.
Hmm.
Now you truly have to look yourself in the mirror and say, what type of person am I?
Wow.
So when I talk about purpose and people ask me, well, how do you handle certain things? How do you handle death in the family? How do you handle this circumstance?
Hmm.
It's not because I'm the toughest person. It's because I know who I am through Christ.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is through the toughest of times, you get to see who you are.
Yeah.
And the question again is, how do you handle the toughest of times? That's when you see who you are. And what most times happens, if you're living a purpose that is just about yourself,
Mm.
what will happen is it's a slippery slope.
Wow.
So now you go deeper down into the trenches.
Hmm.
So if we look at the example of illness, now all the distractions are wiped away. Let's say you can no longer smoke or drink, do this and that. Now all the distractions are wiped away. What do you have as a backbone? What do you have to lean on? So the people that are living a hedonistic life or life just among themselves,
Hmm.
it's a slippery slope. But if you have something that can withstand you through the toughest of times, because that's the true test,
Yeah.
through the toughest of times, what's that? Religion, living a life through Christ. Now you have something that you can work with, a life
Wow.
fulfilled of purpose, a life where it's not about you and your happiness, because life is full
Mm.
of roller coasters, as we talk all the time, ups
Hmm.
and downs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to be truly successful at anything or to live a life of purpose,
Hmm.
it's about consistency. And when you're living a life that's not about yourself, about others, how can I help someone else?
Hmm.
What can I do for example, when I go through a tough day, I don't
Mm,
think about, and again, I'm no perfect person, but
yeah,
the first thing I think about, what can I do to make someone else's day better?
that's great.
And when you do that, you'll naturally feel better because it's a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing that I would like to talk about. And we could talk
Okay.
about that at length
Okay.
as well.
Yeah, and I want to just bounce off of that because that is just like so profound and so true. Is that life isn't really worth living if it's all about you. And sometimes in this generation, we can get so caught up with ourselves we forget about helping other people.
Yeah.
But I like what you were talking about. You got to get beyond yourself. You got to look at the fact that even in the toughest of times, it can really help you to know I can help somebody else. Even though I'm going through a tough time, let me not focus on my stuff. Let me think about how I can be a blessing to somebody else. And I think that's such a mature perspective that you have at such a young age. Like, what are you, 25?
25.
25 years
25.
old, and having a perspective to understand that the beauty of life is in reaching out beyond yourself, even in your own difficult situations. And I think that for some people that may be listening, life can be really, really difficult for you. But if you focus on the difficulty of your life, then you're going to become even more depressed, even more messed up because you're focusing on the wrong thing. I think that if you focus on how you can be a help to somebody else, it'll make whatever you're going through not as bad.
That's right. And I'll say this as well. The biggest thing that I always say, and people ask me, how do you live the type of life that you do live? And my thing is always has been improvement.
Mm,
And to say that you live a life of purpose is not to say that you're trying to be a perfect person. It's to realize that you'll make mistakes along the path.
hmm
And what's the most valuable thing that you have? Time. And so if you're trying to constantly improve, do better in life, what you'll seem to notice is, yes, you'll go through great times, you'll go through low times. But when you have that purpose, a sense of ownership that you know not only belong to yourself, but a higher calling,
hmm
that will propel you to get through the toughest of times. When
Wow.
you're only living through yourself and it's all about me and I need to be happy and why am I going through this, blame this person, blame the next person. Now the current scenario is as tough as it has ever been, and
Yeah.
you'll never seem to get out of it. And what'll happen is it's a propulsion. It'll continue to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
But when you have the right mindset and you say, "Hey, this is a test. This
Yeah.
is a test from God, and then this is also an opportunity to prove myself right. That I am the person I say I am.
hmm
Not as far as an ego wise, but
Right.
as far as what does God say I
That is amazing. Don't you love them? I love them. But I want to bounce off of something you said a little bit earlier, and that is when God has called you to a higher purpose, when there's something bigger than just you. That's about connection, and I think that that's a level of maturity and understanding purpose that you can't do it alone. That God has called you to something that's greater than you. That you need other people in order to fulfill it. Sometimes we say, "No, I don't need anybody else." But the truth of it is that, we just got through having like a family get together for the holidays for Christmas, and we had dinner, and it was
am.
good.
Yeah,
And it
of
was good.
course, of
But
course.
when we all came together, what was funny about it is the most perfect plan that I had written out and everything that I sent out the menus, and they know how I am, come over, this is what's on the menu, this is what we're gonna do, play games, have fun, and all of that. And even though I might have written out the perfect plan, what ended up happening was that I needed each member of the family to do something. So like Ryan helped me, that's my sous chef. He got up in there, no, and he helped in the prep work and doing a lot of the chopping of the onions and all the stuff. I mean, kudos to you.
I'll take it.
And then as I started the cooking, my sister had to come in the kitchen, peel some of the shrimp, do some of that kind of stuff. And then while we're in the midst of it, my husband came in, and God bless his heart, he got up in there and started helping out with cooking the meats, the chickens, and all the other stuff that we had. And it was the accumulation of all of us doing our part that helped the meal to come together quicker. Because had they not come, it wouldn't have gotten done in any kind of time frame. I was running behind, but with everybody's help, we got it done. It was delicious, and we felt great about the teamwork involved. And so when we look at purpose, I think that sometimes we feel like I don't need anybody else, I don't whatever, but it really does require us to look beyond ourselves and see the connection to other people and something greater and higher.
That's right, and that's a great point. We are a team, and we're all on the same team.
Right.
And so when you think of it that way, each of us are here for a certain purpose and
Mm-hmm.
reason. We all have our certain traits that we're better at.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, we're all blessed because we all have something special.
Yeah.
You look at your fingerprints or whatnot, everyone has their own fingerprints.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all special. And when you combine that, and another big thing is talking about, we can talk about this at length as well, is curating your environment. Having the right team around you can make or break you.
Wow.
You could be a
Yes.
genius, but if you're surrounded by people who are constantly putting you down, then you can't reach your destination.
That's good.
At the same time, if you are a smart person, but you surround yourself by others who have done it, that allows you to, again, we talk about time, to save time. But again, now you're able to live a better life of better meaning,
Yeah.
and help others
Yeah.
in an efficient way. The other thing I like about that, as far as we can look at another example, is look at people's jobs, for example. So you have someone who has their own business, or you could have someone who works a 9 to 5. What I mean by that is a lot of times people can lose sight of the biggest meaning. Again, when you're going through a tough time or a good time, or a time where, hey, things are okay, it's the daily routine that's the most important. So for example, you can have someone who's working at McDonald's, but if they truly don't believe they have a purpose or a meaning, they'll see that job as a hassle.
Wow.
Hey, I have to go to work. Why don't you see the job as a tool?
Wow.
Why don't you enjoy it? You're still getting a paycheck. Is that not a good thing? That's a way to support your family. What can you learn from
Really
each scenario? And that's what I try to take, good or bad. There's always a lesson to be learned. So again, if you take that right attitude, humbleness, willingness to learn, now again, each step you're rising to the table, and that's noticeable, and people will want to be around people who are like that. So again, my biggest message is, regardless if you feel that you're doing well in life or you're not doing well in life, give your best. And why wouldn't you give your best? What's the opposite to that? You want to be lazy every day?
Wow.
One thing that I always say is, you might have maybe 75 to 80 years of life, maybe more if you're lucky. What do you want your legacy to be? Again, is it all about you, or are you living for a purpose and a meaning in life?
I mean, such powerful words, so profound. If you have not texted somebody and said, get on, Ryan Roberts is on there, you need to do that, because these are words that I think are far beyond his 25 years of life. I'm not saying it because he's my son, but I think he's pretty fabulous. So let somebody know, like, share, let somebody know that we're on tonight. We're talking about purpose. I want to jump on something that you said, and it was interesting. You talked about a concept that my husband talks about a lot of times, Dr. Pace, which is the bandwidth of your team. Like, purpose has a lot to also do with who you're hanging around. Who are the people on your team? Who are the people that you're hanging around? The Bible says the companion of fools shall be destroyed, but those that walk with wise men shall be wise. And it really does matter who's kind of in your group. And as I was thinking about that, because you want people that complement you, that are, maybe you're weak in a particular area, but they're strong in it. So a lot of you who've done, personality profiling and even done it in a business or a corporate kind of way, you understand the importance to have. I remember Sandy Culkin did something called DISC, DISC, and you could take it whether you're thinking about home or occupational wise, and it would help you to understand where you fit. But there are other ones that I know that are out there that are really geared to business, and in the business module, you need you need the analyst, who's going to analyze things. They're not trying to give people a hard time, but they're trying to think everything all the way through. You need the governor. The governor kind of helps everybody understand where everybody else's perspective and thought process is coming from, and bring it into a cumulative thing where everybody can see how it all connects. You need all those different things. But as I was thinking of that yeah, as we're going into 2024, who's on your team? Who's your supportive people that when you work together, it all comes together because they add something that maybe somebody else doesn't. I was going to jump on that. And then the next thought I got when you said, you need to be humble. You need to, when you're doing a job, whether you think it's significant or not, it's bringing home money. You need to be thankful for that. You need to be grateful for that. You need to be humble. I started thinking, man, What about thinking about what do you add to the team? Are you the type of person that you would want on your team? Are you helpful? Are you supportive? Are you faithful? Are you there? Are you consistent? And I think we talk about that a lot too, because you work out. See this buffness man, and the consistency is what brought about results. Are you consistent and can you be relied upon? So I think it's not only who's on your team, but as a team member, what do you add?
That's right, and that's a great point. And we could talk about this as well. Is again, everything for me starts with self accountability.
Mm.
Don't rely on
Say that again. It starts with self
self
accountability.
accountability. Look yourself in the mirror
Wow.
and look at what you want to become and where you're at. And when
Hmm.
you talk about again the team,
Hmm.
my biggest thing is progression. There is no standing still. There's either moving backwards or moving forwards. And so, like you said, you need to look yourself in the mirror and say, "Hey, what am I adding to this team?" And again, as far as self accountability, when you are self accountable, or at least looking to be that, no one's perfect, but at the end of the day, you gotta look yourself in the mirror,
Mm.
and you know if you're giving your best, if you're doing what you said you're going to do. What you'll notice is when you do become self-responsible and accountable to yourself. Hey, I said I was going to do this. Did you do it? Did you
Right.
actually do that?
Hmm.
What happens if you start to do those little things, minor things on a daily basis? You'll build that confidence.
Hmm.
And so here's the other thing about self-accountability. When you are self-accountable, you're looking to improve. What does that mean? You're looking for someone to be real with you. Hey,
Mm.
these are your downfalls. And
Hmm.
if you're truly trying to improve, again, you're going to want that. Hey, thanks for the feedback. Now I can become a better version of myself.
Love it.
But here's the biggest thing: when you're living a selfish
Mm.
life, and a lot of people don't realize this. And again, when we talk about team, that's why it's important to have people who have already been where you have been, done
Very
what you have
good.
done.
Woo.
It's not just about having the people that make you feel comfortable.
Hmm.
So when you have those right people around you, now you're willing to learn. And when again, when we talk about time, what can you do for others? That's the biggest thing.
Hmm.
So we all have to look ourselves in the mirror, and that starts with myself.
Hmm.
The things that I say is not just things that I say to others, but it's also things that I try to keep myself accountable for.
I love it.
When you have others around you that can keep you in check, and hey, I noticed this, I noticed that. Notice at the end of the day, how do you react to those things? Are you willing to learn from that?
Wow.
Are you receptive to that? Because you got to remember, people that are doing well and maybe even doing better than you, they also are looking to curate their environment.
Hmm.
So are you the type of person to take
Wow.
that the feedback well
Hmm.
or not? And that'll show a lot about yourself. And again, all these things are carried out on a daily basis.
Hmm.
So my biggest thing is try to improve, try to give your best, truly give your best. Most people say they're giving their best, but are they really giving their best?
I mean, that's amazing. Definitely to give your best, because when you give your best, and you leave it all on the table, you don't have anything that you're regretful for later on. I want to go back a little bit because there's just so many things that are nuggets of wisdom that my son is telling. But I tell you what, one of those things that you said, and I was thinking about, is the fact that I kind of lost my train of thought there for a minute, but um, there's just so much that you said that was just so wonderful, and I'm just so amazed by the wisdom. Like, share, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. How many text me and say, what, you need to have Ryan Roberts on more. I tell him all the time he needs his own show. But one of those things that I was thinking about in regards to purpose is not only what we were talking about, understanding about the people who are on your team, who's going to be on your team moving into 2024. Not only understanding that, but understanding what kind of team player are you going to be. Are you going to be a person of integrity? Like he was saying, if you make a promise to do something, follow through on your word. That's integrity. That you're going to make sure you do what you say you're going to do. Don't procrastinate. Don't wait, and give your best. Don't just give halfway, but give your all. And I think in moving into 2024, maybe that's on some people's resolutions in regards to purpose, like why am I here, and all of that. We don't really talk about, let me be a person of integrity. Let me follow through. Let me give my all. Let me challenge myself. And let me not be afraid to take creative criticism. I know what I was going to say. That whole concept of being able to take creative criticism, people letting you know what you can do better at, or even sharing their wisdom. Having the ability to not be so prideful, but being able to be taught, because we say it all the time, you can learn by situation or you can learn by revelation. And wouldn't you rather have somebody who's been through something teach you something so you don't waste time, energy, and effort, but in fulfilling your purpose, you can get there quicker and you can do it greater? I think that's amazing.
It's
Coming from a 25-year-old, what?
it's an amazing thing, and the other part of it is you truly do reap what you sow.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not only about doing something to get something, but we say it all the time: do right because it's right.
Yeah.
I have another example where recently went to Tennessee during the holidays, during Thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
and ended up losing my wallet. First time I ever lost my wallet. So just had an unction, get back home. Nice little road trip, get back home. Just had an unction. Just hold on before you cancel everything. Put it on pause. That's fine. 1 day goes by. 2 days goes by. The third day, I still have that unction. Just wait. Just wait.
Mm.
And what happens is I get a package.
Wow.
I said, hold on a second. Didn't order anything. Open the package, and guess what it is? It's my wallet.
Wow.
A letter that was made from a couple that saw it at a rest stop and say, hey, I've been through the same thing. Wanted to get this back to you. So I said it to say this. The following week, I'm in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and I see an elderly lady walking past, drops her wallet. Again, now this is my chance to, again, prove myself to God and prove it to myself that I'm the person
I love
that
it.
I say I am, and to,
Yes.
again, show the same type of blessing
I
and
love it.
things of that nature. So, again, what you'll notice is when you do start to do the right things, that naturally these things will happen. Good
Mhm.
things will happen to you,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. It's everything starts from the mouth,
I love it.
and how you speak is what you'll start to see. So no matter what the situation is, what's coming from your mouth, and what's your
Wow.
thoughts, whatever you're thinking will come to life. And so that's
There it is.
and that's another thing that's so important.
With
And so
purpose.
with purpose.
That's so important. I'm gonna jump in. I don't mean to cut you off,
Yeah,
but with
yeah.
purpose, it does start with your mouth, because it starts with your thoughts. Like, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Because wherever you want to go, it's really based off of what's happening in your head. What are you thinking about? And then whatever you're thinking about, it's just gonna come out of your mouth. Right? Because the mouth is going to leak what's really in your heart, what you're really thinking about and meditating on. And so a lot of times that challenges us when we think about purpose, to say, what is your purpose? Where are you going? Because if you don't know, how are you ever going to get there? Any place just becomes that. But I think when you set the mark, and that whole thing with you losing your wallet, and when you had an unction,
Yeah.
a lot of times with purpose, you've got to follow that inward witness. That's a whole nother thing, that as the Holy Spirit is kind of leading and guiding, that you trust that inner witness and you would go in the direction that you really felt. Most people say immediately just cancel, but you really sense, maybe God telling you, hold up for a minute. And it was God, because these people sent it in the mail, and then you played it forward. You paid it forward and said, I'm going to do the same thing, be a man of integrity. And this woman who dropped hers, be able to make sure that she gets it back. So there's just so much in all of this, people. I mean, share, let people know we could probably go on forever in this. But I think in purpose, it's not only who's on your team to get there, because it takes a village. You just can't come with this selfish mentality that I can do it all by myself. Everybody needs help sometimes, and knowing that you have the right people on your team, people who are faithful, people who have your heart, people who maybe are stronger in other areas that you're not, and then to say, am I the kind of team member that could help somebody else to get to where they're going? To be a person of integrity, to give your all, is all important to fulfilling purpose. Like you were saying, trusting your inward witness, because a lot of times to fulfill purpose, you've got to understand that it may not look like what everybody else is doing, but to trust your inward witness and to do that, like with your wallet. And there's just so much up in this, to be humble so that somebody can teach you and tell you something, so it doesn't take you 90 years like it did them, but it takes you're 25 and you're already reaching your goals. Talk to us a little bit about some of the goals that you have for yourself, or um, like you were talking about at the beginning, people say, how do you work through hard things? Because hard times and hard situations come, but you were like,
Yeah, it's a good question. For me, my mindset is I have zero regrets.
Right.
Some people may disagree with that, but you have to understand my mindset. My mindset is that I cannot fail.
Wow.
There's nothing that I
I love
do.
it.
There's nothing that I do or will do
Right.
that I'll fail at. And even if I'm going through a tough time, it's a lesson. It's an opportunity to show God.
To learn.
It's an opportunity to learn. It's also an opportunity to show God and to show myself that I'm exactly who I say I am.
I love it.
That I will persevere. That I will continue to grow and to learn life lessons. And when you have that mentality, why would you regret anything?
I love it so much. No,
well, here's the thing. Everything is an opportunity.
Yes.
And why would you want an easy life? Nothing in life is easy.
That's great.
And many people will tell you anything that's worth having is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
So it's an exceptional. And here's another thing. A lot of people will ask God for an exceptional life. And people will think, well, exceptional life only means the benefits of that. But anyone who has had an exceptional life has had the benefits and also the downfalls.
Yes.
You know, people line on their name or people celebrating them.
Yeah.
So it's an up and down, but you got to understand that's what we call life.
I love
life is an up and down. Life is turntable.
Okay.
But those that will tend to make it up to the top. And again, success isn't one thing.
Right.
Success is based upon each person. Each person has a different story.
Yes.
So success is based upon your life, but you know if you're working hard or not, or if you are, or if you aren't.
Right.
So again, when people ask me, well, how do you continue to persevere? It's not that I have no regrets or that I do have regrets. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is to continue.
Love it. Love it.
That's it.
You know, this is so wonderful because, you know, I think so many people have misconceptions about Christianity as if everything is going to be quote unquote perfect in the world's definition of perfect. And we talk about this all the time, but it's not about what life serves you, because no matter if you're saved or unsaved, there are difficult situations that are going to come. I think our whole thought process is it's what you do, how you handle it. It's the decision you make on how you're going to respond that makes the difference to what the outcome is going to be. And even in having difficult outcomes, it just challenges us to see it in a different perspective. I was saying to someone recently, I said, you know, the prophetic word of the Lord for this year, 2023, was that it was the year of more. But if you look at more being something that's just financial, which a lot of people go to, and they say, well, I didn't get any financial increase. But here's my question to you. Are you looking at more as if it's just only finances? Because it shouldn't be from that perspective only. I got more wisdom. You know, even if you make mistakes, now you know of what you need to do better than what you did before. So that's an increase of understanding. That's more. There's more opportunities that you had. So sometimes it's about, in fulfilling purpose, it's about widening your perspective of how you are looking at situations. And if you just are looking at it narrowly, with only one thing, you'll miss out on a whole lot more. I've grown more, and I think that you can too.
That's
which
right.
helps you with purpose.
That's right. One thing about that I love is it's your free will. You get to decide what type of life you want to live.
Love it.
And no one else's standards or images or thoughts of you can detract that. If you want to lay in bed all day, that's up to you. If you want to go out there and make something of yourself, that is up to you.
Love it.
You have the choice. You get to decide. And my biggest thing is, again, what type of life do you want to live? That doesn't mean just inside yourself. Do you want to live a life, as we're talking about the topic, a purposeful life?
You know, and I want to jump on this. With what you're saying, it sounds to me like you cannot really fulfill purpose if you're a victim. Because victims always put it in somebody else's court. It's because they did this to me and that's why I'm not doing what I should do. Or it's because this happened to me and that's why I'm not doing what I should do. Or it's because this is going on. But at some point in time, we have to look at, we do have a free will, and bad things happen to people all the time. And so it's really about, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do? Are we going to just cry about it? Are we going to be depressed about it? Are we going to whatever? And I'm not trying to be insensitive to a lot of you, but I really think that moving forward has a lot to do with saying, I've got to take my life back, empower myself.
Yeah. And going with that, you should be thankful for every moment, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Everything is a journey. So when you only have one view of life is about happiness. I disagree.
Hmm.
Life is about the ups and the downs. And again, if we're
Yes.
talking about a big purpose, is about being able to help others. So what do I mean by that? Well, when you're going through a tough time,
Yeah.
how can this tough time be an example to others? How
Yeah.
can I teach someone else from
Hmm.
how I reacted to this?
Hmm.
And again, God is watching, and I truly believe that there's nothing in life that will happen to me that I can't control or cannot handle.
I love
There's
that.
nothing that He puts in your life that you can't overcome.
Hmm.
So when you think of it from that mindset, there's nothing that can or will happen that'll destroy me, because I'm here for a purpose, and I know that I'm meant to overcome everything. And if I do that, it's not only able to help myself become a better person,
Hmm.
but it's a great example for my family, friends, and what's better than that?
Hmm. I mean, you know what? I feel like Ryan needs to have his own show. What do y'all think? Come on, somebody, hashtag Ryan Roberts. He's amazing. Huh? I'm just like amazed because there's so much wisdom here. And I think that as we're talking about stuff in just a realistic way, we all have times that we may feel depressed, we may feel oppressed, we may feel like discouraged, but whatever you're going through, I think what we're trying to say is you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. There's that inward, we've been talking about that resident power, that anointing, that Holy Spirit that gives you the motivation, that gives you the comeback, and then you knowing you have a free will to take that and use that as a trampoline and bounce into, okay, let me now get into what I got to do to make it happen. And I think that purpose requires you to sit back and say, okay, if I had a setback, let me look at the steps that need to be taken to have a comeback, and to really take the initiative. Don't sit there and procrastinate, because you have a free will, and if you decide to do something about it, it can happen, and it doesn't matter what other people think. And that's the thing. That's why I love the scripture that God says that I've set you in the presence of your enemies, and it doesn't matter, you're still going to flourish right smack dab in the midst of opposition. I think that's when you can really have the greatest celebration. If you don't appreciate the even going through the bad times, you have to appreciate it because it makes the good times that much better.
That's right. And another way you can look at it is nowadays, and what's one way that people destroy themselves? Comparison.
Hmm.
Comparison is truly a thief of joy. Look at social media. One person is comparing their life to another person, and that's the absolutely worst thing you can do.
Right.
Focus on your own life. Your path is the most righteous path that you can have. There's no life better than your own life.
Right.
You're here for a purpose. You're here for a reason.
Love it.
But when you get outside of that, now you get into comparison.
Mm.
So there's two things from that. One is you'll compare yourself to another person, and if they're having success, now you're praying for the downfall. So
Wow.
what does that come from? A lack of security.
Mm.
It's actually called insecurity.
There you go.
So when you're securing yourself, and again, not securing yourself as far as ego of what I've accomplished, it's what God has allowed me to have, what I'm allowed to be able to do. That allows you to continue to move forward, and now you're thankful for everything
Hmm.
and appreciative of the people you have around you, and now you're able to celebrate others. So
Yeah.
one is, again, if you're looking at the wrong way, it'll
Hmm.
destroy you.
Hmm.
The second way is, again, the offspring of that is that it will eventually destroy yourself. So
Wow.
now if you're so focused on the next person, now you're taking away from what you can become.
That's amazing, Ryan. I mean, I have no words. Purpose, it requires focus. That's what I heard. Focus. You got to focus, and not on what somebody else is doing, but focus on what you feel you want to do, what God is telling you to do, what you're motivated to do, so you don't get distracted off of somebody else. Because if you're an insecure person and you're looking at them, it can end up turning into a bad thing where you're trying to and so many people do this, try to sabotage or hurt somebody else because they feel, I don't know, that they can't get what that person has, or they want what that person has, but they don't feel like they understand it, so then they sabotage them. And I see that all the time. And sometimes I don't speak to it. I just pray for the person, because I know that even in the midst of the enemy trying to form weapons against me, they can't prosper if I believe what God has said about me and what I want to do. It won't matter what they think or what they try to do. It's not going to prosper. And my heart breaks for them, because for some reason they're getting joy off of, I don't know, trying to hurt you. So I think that you got to stay focused, not on what other people are doing, not on what somebody's trying to do to you, but on what you really feel like God has told you to do.
That's right. That's right. I couldn't have said it better myself. Again, if someone asks, well, why do you talk about the bad? Well, because again, like I said at the start of it, that's when you can truly see where your heart is.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you can see your true character.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about that, moving forward as well, how you act when times are the toughest is the true character of who you are. And if you continue to strive for better each and every day, the intent is the most important.
Wow.
Trying to improve each and every day. That's one step closer, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. You have to have the tunnel vision. If you're only focused on the
Mm-hmm.
end destination, then you'll miss the present. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
only focused on the present, then you can get wrapped into that
Mm-hmm.
and fall short, remembering, hey, this is where I eventually want to go.
Love
So
it.
you have to be present while also having the end game in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, things will change and life happens, and this
Mm-hmm.
will take a turn left, and this will take a turn right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're still grounded again in
Yeah.
that backbone, it doesn't matter what's going on. Your route is always going to be the same.
I just think this is so amazing. One of the things that I want to say is I'm very thankful to God because you had a powerful father, you have a powerful mother. No, I'll just
Of
get no,
course.
but you made a decision in your own life. And that's what I want to really focus on right now for somebody that of what kind of man you want to be, which I think you are phenomenal. But
Appreciate
not just you, my son, but I really think like, oh my gosh, just wise, mannerable, funny, attractive, the whole package, y'all, the whole nine.
it.
But no, on a serious note, there had to come a time in your life. The Bible talks about your grandmother, what is it, your grandmother Lois, your mother, whatever, and now you. And he was talking to the disciple that it was a lineage kind of thing, and it's on both sides. You've got a super powerful father, that has wisdom in the word and a man of integrity, and then you have your mom. I won't say too much. You can say it later. No, I'm just kidding. But when did you say, you know what? God is my God. That's interesting to me,
That's a great question. And again, it all falls back down to accountability.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, at a certain point, you have to decide what type of person you want to be.
Wow.
As a man, you have to decide, do I want to sit around and complain, or do I want to make something out of my life?
Mm-hmm.
Life doesn't come easy. There's, again, as I said before, there's ups, there's downs, there's challenges, there's great things that happen. But again, you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, what type of person do I want to be? You're special. You have something that you can bring to the world. As I can speak for myself, as a man, you have a duty to God. You have a duty to your family. Where your people come from.
I love when he says this. He says this all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
duty to God, duty to family, and duty to your name and your
duty to your family, duty to your last name, and a duty to yourself.
Wow.
So you have a duty to God. What does He want you to implement in the earth while you're here before you go to the next stage? You do have a duty to your family, a duty to your last name. You want to be a nobody. You want to make something out of yourself. And when I say make something out of yourself, that doesn't mean it's the same goal for every person. But give your best, and as you try to give your best each and every day, keep your head down, stay focused. You'll be surprised after a year or 2 years, you look up and you say, I've gone this far. Yeah, you've gone this far. And when you do that, now you put yourself in a possibility or have the ability to help others or to see where you had shortcomings and help the other person. It's not about being successful in one area. It's about being successful in every single area. So when I say improve, people will think in one area, in business or relationships or this and that. It's the whole package. You're a human being. You're a person. It's not about being on one side. And when we talked about having mentors, the right people around you, those are the people that can show you where your pitfalls are, your blind spots. And that's why it's so important. The last part that I said was a duty to yourself as well, because you have to have some part of you that has a burning fire to improve. So again, when we talk about hardships or a great thing, let's flip it now. Let's talk about a great thing. You have some achievement. So what do you do once you have an achievement? Now is life good, or you want to continue to improve?
Wow.
And so sometimes when you're so focused on what you're currently doing, again, you'll miss the future vision. So you do have a duty to yourself as well to prove yourself right. And when you are so focused on trying to prove, do the right thing because it's the right thing, now you're one step closer, and it's a step-by-step process. There is no in between. You can either go forward or go back. There is no neutral. So I don't even think of it as, hey, well, I'll take a day off. No, you might have a bad day or you might have a great day. But again, regardless if you do have a great day or a bad day, what can I learn from each and every situation?
Situation. Powerful stuff. You guys, we're not going to keep you long. I know we're going to close it out in a little bit, and I'm going to give them final thoughts. But before I do, I was watching something. I don't know if it was on Netflix or whatever. It was dealing with living to 100 years old. Some of you may have seen it. The promise of the blue zones or whatever. And they call them blue zones because the particular person that was researching this used a blue pen to mark on the earth the places where people lived to 100 years old, and there was a, I think it was a certain number that you
Okay.
had to have in order for him to mark it with blue. And he started calling it the blue zone. And it was just interesting as he began to investigate why these people lived to 100. Some of the things he said was a sense of adventure, always having fun or laughter, staying positive and enjoying life. And then what they ate, a lot of healthy things that had antioxidants and stuff like blueberries and purple sweet potatoes and all kinds of stuff. But one of the things that really stuck out to me, and I don't know if I wrote down the actual spelling of it or I was trying to phonetically sound it out, but I think it was something that was called like Ikaige or something, but it's a kind of mission or purpose. And when he mentioned that, once again, he said that in those particular zones, he looked at Okinawa, Japan, he looked at some other different mountainous villages. And I think the doctor's name was Dr. Gianni PES or whatever. He went into Sardinius, Italy, and different other I'm probably jacking up the names
It's
of these
all good.
places.
It's all good.
But what I thought that he said, and I thought it was really good, is he said that IKIGAI, it means a kind of mission or purpose. Um, and that if you lose it, they felt like you will die because they felt like that as long as you're living, you have to have purpose. And once you lose your sense of purpose, you're going to die. So they didn't believe in really retirement. And it was just an interesting concept because it is biblical, that, you have to have a sense of purpose. You have to really understand why I am here and don't feel bound by age or bound by your conditions or where you're at. Matter of fact, a lot of these people lived in mountainous areas, and that attributes to exercise because they had to go up steep hills to go to church or to go to work or whatever, or wherever they lived. And that helped them exercise and do things. But I believe that purpose is so strong. I think that when you lose your sense of why you're here, you won't be here. And so to keep dreaming, even the scripture that says that Joseph dreamed another dream, that sometimes you had visions and maybe you fulfilled certain things. Okay, so dream another dream, create and keep on creating and keep on being meaningful in the earth. Or because I guess if you lose your meaning, you won't be here much longer.
You said it.
I said it.
You said it.
I said it. So look, I'm gonna give you final thoughts. If you've enjoyed this, I feel like I need to periodically have my son on. He's an amazing man,
Let's do it.
and yeah, I really feel like he needs to get his own show. There's nothing more fulfilling and wonderful as a mother is to know that that God has blessed you to birth somebody in the earth who is a mover and a shaker that has something to say. And I mean, I feel like that Ryan for real as a man has something really really significant for the world to hear and for this generation to hear. So I was really honored to have you on, Ryan. Seriously, even if you weren't my son, I probably would have had you on because I just think that you have such wisdom and such a creativity about you, and such a man of integrity. Works hard, and I think that's another thing with vision. If you're going to see it fulfilled and manifested, you've got to be committed to working hard. You've got to be committed to being consistent. You got to be committed to, yeah, bad things are going to happen and bad days are going to come, but I'm not going to let that make me quit. And I think anybody in history who's done anything significant faced all of those things, faced really hard obstacles, but that's what made them great. They used that to chisel themselves into their destiny and their purpose. So, final thoughts from you that you want to leave with everybody on purpose before we end tonight.
I mean, final thoughts.
It's Christmas season too. I
It's
don't know.
Christmas season.
Man.
Enjoy the time with the family. That's the most important.
Yes.
Don't lose sight of what you have.
Okay.
A lot of times, I'll just say this, regardless if it's on the topic or not, you can have the right people around you. And a
Mm.
lot of times, when you have people that you do love or appreciate that bring something to your life, it's easy to lose sight of that or take that for
Yeah,
granted.
yeah.
So especially in the holiday season, when you are around your family, keep that in mind. Enjoy the time that you have with them. Life is short, life continues. What lessons can you learn from each and every individual?
Mhm.
It's a precious thing when you
Yeah.
have people around you that truly care. So you want to take it day by day and appreciate all the little things that you have from other people and what they do for you and whatnot. And with that being said, I appreciate everything that you have done.
Mm.
Appreciate you having me
Oh, thank you,
on the
Ray.
show today, and
Mhm.
looking forward to hopefully doing some more with you.
Absolutely. Listen, if you like this, give us a text, give us an email, let us know. I enjoyed this. Let's do this again. Have another anointed, powerful adult child too. And so we got to get Asher on and kind of get her thoughts as well. But we want you to enter into 2024 really positively understanding that purpose is really up to you to say, you know what, I'm going to stay focused. I'm not going to compare myself. I'm not only going to build a team that I feel like of people who can be supportive and faithful, but I'm not leaning completely on the team. I'm also looking at myself and seeing what kind of player I am. Being a person of integrity, not giving halfway, but giving all. Um, there was just so many different nuggets we hit on. I can't hit on everything. But even the scripture, and that says to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heavens. Knowing your times and seasons, like one of the things you were saying, when you're around somebody who's been through it, understand that maybe you don't have all that they have, but guess what? They're in a different season of life, and it's not going to always happen automatically for you. You got to walk through some things, and if you can gain some wisdom from them that can save you some time, you may be able to get there a little bit quicker. But understanding that they've walked through some things for a period of time, and they have some information that they can give unto you. The Bible talks about that the older women would teach the younger women how to love their husbands and love their children. Two different types of love, but that instruction, and for the older men to kind of sow into the younger men, so that it can gain you that take out of the equation that long period of time, or you going through something that you didn't have to go through if you could just be humble enough to receive it. So I really enjoyed a lot of that. I want to throw in here, there was a particular passage of scripture that was interesting to me out of Acts, the 13th chapter, the 36th verse, and this is me ending my thoughts for the evening. And it says, now when David had served God's purpose in his own generation, he fell asleep and he was buried with his ancestors, and his body decayed. So, in other words, David understood he had a purpose, and when he served God's purpose in his generation, after he had done what he needed to do, that's when he died. That goes back to that word I was talking about in Okinawa, Japan. Um, I don't know if it's Aikije or Aikije or whatever, but it means understanding that I have a purpose and a mission, and that's what keeps me alive. I want to encourage you as you go into 2024, you're not here haphazardly. God has a purpose for you, and it's not too late. You may have experienced some rough times, some bad times. Don't let that discourage you and make you feel like it's too late. It's never too late. You got to make a decision in yourself. What is it what kind of person I want to be? That's what you said.
That's it.
And go for it. And while you're doing that, as we're ending this year up, have a great time. Listen, we're a couple of days away, actually, from having Christmas,
Yep.
and we want to say, have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy your family, and enjoy life. Stay positive, and know that the best is yet to come.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Merry
We love you.
Christmas.
Bye. Oh, by the way, listen, if you have not sown a seed, we want you to go ahead and give an offering tonight. Listen, offering is a form of just saying, Lord, I honor you. We can never pay for anything that God does for us. But what we can do is say, I appreciate the wisdom, Father God. It's helping me, it's helping my life. So we want you to sow a seed tonight. If you were blessed by this, let's honor God, let's worship God. Do what only you can do. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do what somebody else is doing. But on the screen are the various ways in which you can give. If you're doing PayPal, it's paypal.me/Raise Encounters. It's all lowercase, no spacing, and an S on the end. PayPal.me/Raise Encounters. If you're doing Cash App, it's cash.me/Raise Encounters. All lowercase, no spacing, S on the end. It's cash.me/Raise Encounters. Or if you kind of a little bit old fashioned, it's okay. P.O. Box 141089, Toledo, Ohio. And it's all on the screen. Everybody do something, because you know what? At this time of the year, we think about giving gifts to everybody else. And it's great to be a gift giver. Really, it's not about the gifts we give. It's just about the importance of showing people we love them. Sometimes the best gift you can give is your time. We had a wonderful time tonight, fellowshipping and with family and friends, eating great food. And we did give gifts. But what did Pumpkin say that was really a great?
She said the presents are the bonus.
She's the presents are the bonus.
The true gift was spending the time with the people we love and fellowship. And again, that's the thing to not take for granted.
It's really true. And so if we do that for other people and show them how much we love them and care just by spending time with them, and we're glad you spent some time to hear us this evening. What about God? Do we ever just stop to say thank you? I want to challenge you this week. We're 2 days away from Christmas. Take some time just to say to the Lord, thanks. Thank you for always being faithful to me. Thank you always being there for me. And another way we can do that also is that I thank God that they had this particular time in front of us to talk about this subject, and it really blessed me. So let's just sow a seed and say, you know what, we honor you. That's it. So go ahead, everybody, do something. Don't forget the house of God. Don't forget the Lord. It's very important that we honor him in various ways, in our time, in our talents, and financially, and resources, in whatever way. And every chance you get, help somebody along the way in this season. Listen, we love you. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.